shot glass. I was the catering person. He's the owner of the house running this really good nonprofit event. And he's like, hey, have a sip. And I say, you're the owner of the house. You're managing all of this. I don't know him well enough. And I'm like,
I don't need to be drinking with you while I'm on the job.
Well, I'm working, but also most of the people, it is. And most of the people, it's just like the reaction is that you're the worker on the house. You're going to be cleaning my kitchen. You're going to be serving food, and then you get the fuck out. I'm paying you for a service.
Right.
It was completely different, and that's what immediately I'm like, oh, this guy is so different, and he loves mezcal and tequila and all of that. So I continue doing events like that, but that was the first thing that is just like, oh, he wanted to share. I'm always a giver. Always like try to do something like to the communities, to my family, to my friends, whatever. So that engaged right there was like, oh, he wants to share out of his glass with me? Fuck yeah, let's do it. And we start talking and whatever. We always say we're going to do one barrel of tequila and bring it to those events. He has a lot of, I do 36 nonprofit events a year, and he does some other ones. So I'm like, well, let's bring a couple barrels and say, this is our tequila, like going to Casa Noble or somewhere to like, can you make something for us? And everything changed. Then Karen come into the equation. They meet together in a different event, and then we meet in another dinner that you did for Think Equal. Yeah, it's another amazing event. So that's when everything started coming in place, and then we start thinking, well, can we build something else? And then Karen is like, I can invest. And Scott is like, but you do business before. You come from Wall Street. You're super smart. Can you run the business? Because Dana is on the kitchen. Dana likes to do the quality control. Dana likes to go and talk to the people in Mexico. But who's going to run the office? Who's going to run the numbers? Who's smart enough to build a business? And that's her.
And that's her.
Thank you.
That's a big
nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question, Karen. Did working or, going from clothing and kind of like that inventory, having the logistics and warehousing and like shipping, did that help kind of make this a transition to liquor, or was there something in between?
100%, yeah. No, being
Very
an entrepreneur, you either
parallels.
have that mentality and that capability to say, okay, here are all the things we need to do. Obviously, completely different industry from clothing, but we manufactured it ourselves, and that's what I was telling Dana last night. I'm like, sometimes I get frustrated because we're not manufacturing it. We partner with phenomenal people in Mexico to make our mezcal and our tequila. And so it's out of my control. I'm like a control freak. Ask anybody that knows me well.
OCD?
Yeah,
ADD?
just a bit. OCD, my husband.
Oh, I totally see that.
Yeah, totally. I get it all the time. My kids are ADD, so, it runs in the family.
I use marijuana to help my ADHD so that I'm not thinking about, 90 million things. I can just, settle.
Maybe I just need to be stoned all the time.
Hey, welcome to my
Or
life.
drink really high-quality mezcal and tequila.
Now, I will
We
say
need some help.
We do.
Y'all are slaying that. Y'all. It seems like every piece was an intentional place. Everyone is kind of rowing in the same boat. Everyone's together.
We are, and we all have really different talents. We were meeting with somebody last night, and we just realized how we are just so balanced. And it's never easy getting a company going, but it's fun learning a whole new industry. It's really, really fun.
Every day's a little different.
Every day's really different. And it's gone from 2 hours today, and yesterday I was like, okay, I only have 3 hours of work today. I didn't finish for 8 hours.
Right.
And that's becoming a daily thing, is 8 hours every day. But that's okay. You're running a business.
Okay, but what is it that got you interested in tequila, or entering
good question.
Entering the beverage industry that?
It's a different beast.
That doesn't
It's
just come
beast.
out of all of a sudden one day. Oh fuck it, I'll give
I'm
it a shot.
I'm a
Good
foodie.
question.
I'm a foodie, and I love alcohol too. And so I've loved tequila since I was legally able to drink it.
Same here.
Particularly in
And a few years
Mexico, where they
prior.
don't care.
And where it's
and I've been going to
younger
Mexico
age to
since I
drink.
was a young teenager, and fell in love with the people then. Loved the culture, loved the booze, and Scott Kier, our third partner, and I met at a social impact event in Boulder. And we're walking down the street to the reception, and we both kind of looked at each other. We hardly even knew each other. With Praful Shaw, a good friend of ours. Anyways, we all said, oh, let's just stop at the bar and have a cocktail, before we go drink cheap wine and lousy food.
Yeah,
and
nice
so
choice.
we stay in the bar. All three of us, order tequila. I'm like, that's interesting. So then Scott came to me after he and Dana had started talking about it and said, hey, do you want to invest? And I said, I'll think about it. And then about 6 months later, it was, hey, how about being our third partner? And as I told him last night, I didn't even say, oh, let me think about it. I said, okay, good, let's do it. Because I just left a role on Wall Street, and I, climbed the ladder on Wall Street.
Same here, yeah.
CFP to,
That's exactly what we're both finance bros.
Oh, are you? Good. Well, if you need any, help,
Well, no, if
They
you
count
need
how
any
many
help.
pounds of pot they sell. Yeah.
We're doing the podcast.
It's a different accounting.
This is a total hobby for us. We're done
Good
working.
for you.
Early retirees, you may say. Oh.
Yeah.
We shorted
Where's your
everybody in
penguin
08.
suit? Where's your penguin suit?
Fun fact, you can't wear a suit in Colorado and get anybody on the podcast.
Right.
Oh, I'm talking about Wall Street.
We left
Oh,
those days behind us.
Busted.
Time out.
We left those there. Everybody.
Okay, so you love tequila.
So we love tequila, and these guys, like Dana said, they originally were just going to, make some and, have a little bit there, have a little bit there, and then we just decided, let's make this a real business. And Dana and Scott had already been down a couple times, and I'd actually been invited, just coincidentally, to go with them, and couldn't go because I was luckily in the Amazon jungle, having a really good
What the
time.
fuck? I thought.
We won't tell you what I.
Yeah, where did that come from? That was the most random.
Seriously, that's why I couldn't go to Mexico.
I couldn't
That's why
go
I
to
couldn't go to
Mexico for the
Mexico.
R&D
I
for
just got
tequila.
back from
I
the
was
Gulf
hunting
Coast.
anacondas.
Yeah.
Gulf Coast. No, it was a little journey with the indigenous people in ayahuasca and all that good stuff.
Oh,
So-
nice.
Oh,
Solid.
nice.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Do you have a shaman? I need a name.
I do, actually. I do. He's amazing.
So is that okay, continue.
So that's why I didn't go to Mexico. Anyway, so Dana, being the passionate as she is, and I harken back to her restaurants and why people love to come here. A, the food is phenomenal because Dana's James Beard
True.
chef, as we all know. But secondly, she cares passionately about the people that work for her, and they care about her. Like, you watch it, you feel that energy. So she took that same ethic and that same energy to Mexico and said, hey, I want the best juice. Okay, we found the best juice. Now, how do they treat their people? How do they take care of the land? How do they take care of the communities in which they live? And they're just lovely, lovely people. So we picked it not just based on the best juice, but do they take care of their people? So that's why we're a public benefit corporation, is because we want to give back to those communities in Mexico. We want to be the spirits company of mezcal, tequila, sotol that do good. That is our differentiator. Not only is it the best, has no additives, doesn't have any crap added to it like most of the big brands.
Yep.
They add glycerin, they add vanilla.
It's crazy.
Yeah, ours is 100% natural.
So when did
Let's talk a
Dona
little bit
Loca
about,
start?
Yeah, let's talk about the family that y'all are working with in Mexico, because they're the bread and butter of this. Without them, none of this shit works. Hold on, let's pause first.
I can't hear it.
All right, so tell me. Sorry about that garbage truck. Tell us a little bit about the family and the team that's down in Mexico, because they are what makes this shit work.
I mean, it goes a little bit more deep than that. Like, when I started learning all of this, people think everybody knows about everything. Ignorance is something that we live every day with, and it's nothing wrong. People just sit in a wrong way. It's just you don't know any better, but you can learn. And even me being from Mexico, I didn't know everything. I didn't know that we have 1,800 of tequila and 300 are good and the other 16 are shit. I didn't know that when I moved here, because that's not what I wanted to learn. I was basically learning how to do good food and stuff here, right? So 7 years ago, I was in a trip through the restaurants to learn different cuisines and all of that stuff. I was in Oaxaca when it was the earthquake. So one thing that it immediately catch my eye, like, some of these agaves take up to 30 years to get mature. So these campesinos or these maestros, they go to the fields every day, take care of everything, make sure it's a good quality. When it's ready to do all the process behind, a lot of people don't know anything. I wasn't aware of all of those things. But what I learned that day is that all the product that they have to take care of for 10 years, it went to shit in 45 seconds of the earthquake. Everything broke, everything was fogged, the whole town sinks, and they lose all the production. And then I was there for learning, so I shift that to be helping. Let's clean, let's help those people, let's do something about this. And then my first question is, like, how do you recover from this? Like, that's 10 years of your fucking life taking care of this, and it's gone. There is not an answer. There is nothing. They don't have savings there. There are no insurance in Mexico. There is nothing to be helped for that. So they just need to go back to the fields and continue their life and doing a lot of things. And I say, we got to create something in a different way. Just what how I take care of my line cooks, of my servers, and my employees. Like, how can we do that instead of just being the rich American people or from Holland or from Germany or whatever, give you the money, give me all your use, and then sell it for 20 times better, and they don't get any benefit of what they produce and they work for. So I say, the people that I know, I went to different, oh my God, I went to some that literally they look like the mafia, like all these big guns and like this. I never see a diffuser machine of my life. It's like a size of this block. When I went through the whole thing, I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's made in California. So they ship it over there and they doing a lot of stuff. Anyways, it was a process to learn everything, right? And that's when I decided, well, let's keep hunting for people and see who believe in the same values that I believe. Taking care of the land is the most important thing to me. Taking care of the people is the most important thing. So when we find those people, in the third trip that I did, Scott was there with me. And that's when we taste with these guys, Marco and Juan, and we taste this, and I'm like, oh my God, the juice is amazing. Can you take us to the fields? Make sure it's true. You never know, right, what is going on over there. So he take us for lunch to his house. His mom baked for us, and then he take us to the fields. And I'm like, these people is legit. They need the help. And you always find that connection, right? Like the first time that Classic is our distribution company here, they call them and say, hey, we want to know everything about it. Why do you partner with Dana? Like, is she actually paying you good money or she's just like doing what? And he's like, no. At that point, there is no agreements. There is nothing. It's just we trust to each other. And I think that means a lot, for people like building a brand and say, I don't have an agreement with those guys. I need so many liters. I'm going to sell it for this much, or not disclosing those things like, just give me your use and I'm going to do whatever I want with that.
Right.
No, it was just like truly something that we trust, that we can educate people in the States and bring the best, and then they can get all the help and the benefit from that. So.
Yeah, and the cool thing, can I just add something to that?
Yeah, of course.
So when she was talking about going to see the plants and where they make it, it's called a palenque down there. It's way in the mountains. I mean, we're talking 4 hours outside of the Oaxaca Valley, which I think is really significant. So, water comes from the rain, and then all of our mezcals are made with mountain spring water, which is huge. I mean, it's kind of like Coors. It's all about the water.
I was about to say that.
Yeah,
Damn, you stole it from me.
Sorry. They haven't used that in a long time, so I wasn't sure if you were alive yet. Anyways, sorry, I had to say that.
True.
That was a deep cut. Deep cut. That was like the ultimate dunking on a transplant. Shut the fuck up, millennial.
That's okay. We love millennials.
That was great.
Anyway, so this stuff is spring water, and so most of the competition out there is in the valley, and they use well water, which, who knows what's in those wells. And so we're really proud of the fact that these guys have this beautiful palenque 4 hours into the mountains. I mean, I don't know if you've been to the Oaxaca Valley. The mountains are huge. I mean, they're beautiful big mountains, almost as big as the Rockies, and lush and green, and everything's grown wild. So, we wanted to put natural on the bottle, but the TTB would not let us.
What's the TTB?
The regulating body for liquor for the whole country.
You can use those acronyms in y'all's meetings, but none of the stoner fan base.
Well, the funny thing is, they approved it.
Mexico, they now have designation of origins, for mezcal and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Sure that's more talking about education, about the quality of the product, right?
Yeah.
I was just talking about the story. It's the same thing with the guys on Tequila. So we meet with those guys. They have the same last name as we do, for whatever reason, and they are really good people. We find these guys that they produce really good. They actually make 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
That's fucking good stuff.
I got it.
That's good juice.
It's a really good. So they are organic. They're really good. It's 3 brothers. They doing everything right. And I think that was the most important thing behind, to partner with the right people, that we are basically the good platform to represent them here in the States and educate people about why and what you should order. Give me a good reason why I sit in a bar and choose that bottle. I think that's, to me, that was the most important thing behind the whole story. But talking about quality is a totally different thing, like how we produce and do everything.
I think we have kind of touched on a little of the differentiators, but like